Hello everybody and welcome back to the Hartford Whalers expansion franchise and welcome to the Year 5 trade deadline as we'll jump right into it here. The top 10 players available right now is Joe Veleno there from the Detroit Red Wings. We also have Elias Lindholm from Calgary, Zach Werenski, a pending free agent who we're going to hopefully be in on in this upcoming offseason. Jacob Slavin now on Montreal, still a couple years left on that contract. Also, Jaden Schwartz now at 35 years old, as there already is a trade alert here. The Buffalo Sabres going to get Volkov and Geit from the Las Vegas Knights, but really no one of note in that deal. Dustin Wolf here, the top goaltender on the market. Now the backup to Igor Shesterkin in Calgary. Ryan Graves, someone we do like. Boone Jenner, Barabanov now on Vancouver, along with Niels Hoglander. So Ryan Graves, someone we talked about in the last episode when we kind of previewed what to expect in this trade deadline episode. We really would like to bolster our defensive unit and give Jordan Spence a better running mate there on our bottom pairing, as Winnipeg there just does complete a trade for Jared McIsaac as he goes from Columbus to Winnipeg along there with Graham Clark, former expansion draft pick from the New Jersey Devils. But looking at a trade here with the Montreal Canadiens for Ryan Graves, Grigory Denisenko, unfortunately someone we would have to sacrifice as he does have pretty good trade value compared to Graves. Denisenko, someone we acquired at last year's deadline from the Florida Panthers. Now we'll try and include him in this trade. So now going down the board, looking at a potential prospect we can include, we want to hang on to Frederick Leonard, maybe the best prospect we have in the entire organization, former second-round pick, playmaker there at right wing. Francois Lefebvre, someone we would like to sign mid-season here to bolster our center position on the fourth line, but he's going to stick with the junior club, unfortunately. We'll probably bring him in next year, as those make up probably our top two prospects. We also have Benjamin Culp here, first-round pick from 2026. We'll sign him after this season, see if he can compete for a spot on our pairing next year on defense, as there we see the Kings and Coyotes agree to a trade Michelli and Carrier going there to Los Angeles. So since we have a nice two-way defender there in Culp at the right defenseman position, we can go ahead and include Gustavo Whitfield, I think second-round pick from 2026. That same draft, I think we drafted 4 defensemen or maybe even 5 in that draft class. So we'll see where that puts us now as they do reject that. And something I like about Ryan Graves here, we'll get another look. 6'5", 220, 32 years old, so he's experienced, but most importantly, he is signed through next season. We only have one defenseman on our NHL roster right now who is signed for more than one season, so a lot of our guys on expiring contracts, so I think that's something we look ahead towards, which besides a great defensive presence there in Ryan Graves, we also get someone who will be on the team next year as well. So going back to defensemen, they do have some interest here in Hunter Brzustowicz, another right-handed shot here, 23 years old, was a second-round pick going back to our inaugural draft class where we drafted Leo Carlsson in the first round. So we will include him. Not much more there on the trade value, but looking at the bars there at the bottom, it does look fairly similar. We'll try and get some salary retained here on Montreal. Let's go up to like $1 million, see if they'll take that, as we can save every bit of cap that we can. They reject that, we'll go down to $400,000. As I said, every little bit helps, and they will reject that as well. So I guess we'll just wipe that off entirely and see if Denisenko, Whitfield, and Brzustowicz gets it done here for Ryan Graves, as that is also rejected. So we might have to throw in one last player here. I think minimal value should be close to getting it done. Linus Brandl, just one of our centers there at the AHL level, as that is accepted. So we just had to throw in one little prospect there. So, early on here in the trade deadline, we strike a deal with the Montreal Canadiens as we bring in Ryan Graves. And there was another trade I wanted to explore as well. Not someone here on the top 10, but we'll go by available here. Go over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, a division rival, but they are out of it entirely. And Bryan Rust, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, I think he would present a lot of upside to our roster, give us a nice veteran presence there, a lot of experience, obviously at 35 years old, but still productive now at 48 points. He provides the flexibility to play on the power play, also on the penalty kill, so some special teams value experience with that Stanley Cup caliber play, as I said, can maybe help us get over the hump and attain our first Stanley Cup in franchise history. But first, we just got to get back to the playoffs. We are currently in a good spot, second or third entering this episode in the Metro. So now looking at it, who is someone we're going to include in this trade for Bryan Rust? I think going back to defensemen, now that we've acquired Ryan Graves, I think we can deal with or part with Daniil Chaika. We acquired him back at our year 1 trade deadline from the Vegas Golden Knights in that trade with Matt Grzelcyk. His first full season as a starter, so pretty much his rookie year, 11 points in 63 games, a -11. And I do think he has a bright future, but for now we're going all in. I think we're buying, and we're going to try and include him in this deal for Bryan Rust, as we did get kind of an upgrade there, bringing in Ryan Graves. So, and we are going to have to deal with some cap here. So I think Andrew Kopp, I was looking at, we would like to have him as our fourth line center, but I think he does prove a downgrade compared to Rust. And we had some difficulties here trying to strike out a deal just because we were a little bit over the cap. Pittsburgh was a little bit under the cap. So to balance the scales there, we need to improve that. We need to include that $3.75 million salary of Andrew Kopp and that $5 million salary here of Bryan Rust. So we'll see how it goes here with Kopp and Chaika for Rust, and it is declined. And I do think they had interest in a goaltender. We don't really want to part with any more of our prospects at the skater positions. We'll go over to goaltender. And we do draft a lot of goalies. Even Gustav Kovalev here has decent trade value, a fourth-round pick from last year out of Russia, but he was gem potential. So I do want to stick with him for a little bit longer and see how he develops. But Javon Marks, one of our top prospects, second-round pick from 2024, up to 81 overall. He's gone up like 6 points already over the course of this season. 34, 16, and 4 there at the AHL level with 5 shutouts, a save percentage at .919, goals against sub 2.2. So he's in line to be our franchise goaltender within a few years. So maybe after, Yaroslav Askarov's contract expires within the next few seasons, maybe at that point Javon Marks is ready to step in. But for now, we're going to try and continue and complete this Bryan Rust trade, as we will throw Scott Ratzlaff in there. Very good production this year, filling in for the first time when Askarov went down to injury. He was 5-3 in 8 starts, only 3 games at the AHL level, so he was our third goaltender for a while. We suffered a few injuries between Askarov and Tarasov, but otherwise has had good production down there at the AHL level. But the Penguins do have some interest in him, so it looks like we do outweigh them on the interest bar at this point. So maybe we can get a draft pick back maybe for next year. If we could maybe throw in a 4. I don't know if they'll go for that. They're really not trying to give away draft picks, I guess. Although all of these picks are on the trade block. What about a 6 for next year with those players? No. What about just Rust straight up for Daniil Chaika, Andrew Kopp, and Scott Ratzlaff? As they do accept that. So I didn't expect those trades to go over so smoothly, as we'll now go over to the whole board now and look at the trade summary, as we did miss a lot of deals in those negotiations, as Minnesota acquires Nicholas Hague and Jonathan Drouin from the Vegas Golden Knights for a 2 and a 4. The Wild trying to make it back to the Stanley Cup. I believe they were champions back in year 2 or year 3 of this franchise. We see our trade there with Bryan Rust from Pittsburgh, as we give up Daniil Chaika, Andrew Kopp, and Scott Ratzlaff. I think that's a pretty good value for us. We give up a young goaltender, but he just only had starter potential, and we are pretty deep at that position in our minor leagues at this point. Also, the Devils acquired defenseman Matt Waugh there, and along with Pius Suter from Washington, as they give up a couple prospects. The Canadiens and Maple Leafs completed trade there. Ryan Merkley looks to be the centerpiece. The Islanders and Avalanche completed trade there. J.J. Moser's going to the St. Louis Blues, as the Coyotes get a 2 and a goalie prospect. So decent trade there for both sides, I would think. Nashville gets Morrissey. Ivan Barbashev going to the Hurricanes, as we do play them the first game after this trade deadline. So come back for the next episode, as we'll get a full game against Carolina, as we're neck and neck with them in the Metro. They acquire Barbashev and Dante Fabro from the Nashville Predators, as they bolster their lineup a little bit. Chicago gets Ethan Bear, Trennan, and McLeod from Seattle in exchange for a second-round pick and a defensive prospect, Ryan Graves. We see that trade as we give up Grigory Denisenko, Gustavo Whitfield, Hunter Brzustowicz. The Rangers acquire Jesper Bachfist from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Ottawa gets Niels Hoglander and Barabanov from Vancouver. So the Senators trying to strengthen their playoff run. I think they're currently out of the playoff picture. The Kings acquired Michelli and William Carrier from Arizona, giving up a 2 and a 6 in that one. Liam Foudy and Labushkin going to Carolina there in a in-division trade with the Blue Jackets. They're all out selling, as they also gave away Jared McIsaac for a second-round pick and a 6 there from Winnipeg. And the first trade there was Volkov and Gaite going to Vegas in exchange for a 3 of 5, as we will go back to the trade summary now. Just under 2 hours remaining in this year 5 trade deadline. Still all these top names that were available. Philip Forsberg's now up here, along with Nick Schmaltz. All these guys still available. Kako is now up here as well. Tyler Seguin, Berkeley Catton on the trade block here from Calgary. Zachary Benson, 2 very young forwards there. Roman Yossi, Jonathan Berggren, Ryan Donato, as we will just go back to the top 10 now. I think we'll stand pat at that. I mean, we could maybe afford to seek out upgrade on the fourth line. We don't really have much flexibility to work with in terms of, prospects or draft picks or even cap room for that matter. So I think we might have to stand pat with what we're at. Maybe we can cash in on a waiver claim or something, just, one of those players to strengthen our fourth line. Sidney Crosby is available for trade, as is Grigory Denisenko. So Montreal acquired him in that deal for Ryan Graves, now trying to trade him, as are the Penguins here with Andrew Kopp. Patrick Kane, currently a Vegas Golden Knight, former Hartford Whaler, started off the first 2 years of this franchise with our team. So we will go back to the trade summary. I think we missed a few more there when we were initially reviewing. As we see, St. Louis, Arizona completed another trade. I think they already had a trade where they traded J.J. Moser, and they complete another trade right after that. Interesting. Owen Zellweger being acquired by the New Jersey Devils. Connor Garland going to Pittsburgh. So they were selling, and now they're trading for Connor Garland, giving up 2 threes there to Columbus. And that was really it from that point on. So at this point, just over an hour left in this Year 5 trade deadline. I do like what we were able to accomplish, even though we had to give up Andrew Kopp, who has been very productive for us over the course of his first season with the Hartford Whalers, filling in as a veteran, good special teamer. But I do believe we got to upgrade there in Bryan Rust. And of course, we did solidify our defensive core, bring in Ryan Graves there, a big upgrade over Daniil Chaika. So overall, it's tough to keep up in this closely contested Metro division. As we'll see if we can take a look at the standings here. Our division has 5 of the top 8 teams in the NHL, including the New York Islanders, who are currently the favorite to capture the President's Trophy, already 99 points, only 11 regulation losses, as Quinn Hughes has proved to be a very good acquisition for them, of course. The missing piece to the puzzle. The Rangers right behind them at 81 points. And there we are at 79 points, just 1 game behind the Rangers. And then in the next episode, we're going to take on the Carolina Hurricanes, as they're just 2 points behind us. And then the Philadelphia Flyers, just 3 points behind us, holding that second wild card spot. So our division is extremely tough, and I think it was more than necessary to make those moves to acquire a guy like Ryan Graves and Bryan Rust, 2 experienced players to really solidify our team and strengthen this last-ditch effort of reaching the postseason, because it's definitely not guaranteed, even though we are sitting in a good spot. The Flyers are right down there, along with the Hurricanes, as they could, jump us, force us into a wild card spot, as the Devils there acquire Alex Turcotte from the Los Angeles Kings. So a good acquisition, I think, from the Devils. Turcotte, someone we looked at various points over the last couple of years. We did see he was on the trade deadline, but opted to pursue Bryan Rust instead. See if we get any last-minute trades here between any of these big names: Philip Forsberg, Lindholm, Joe Veleno, as we're now down to just the final 20 minutes. And after this, we are going to take a look at our roster, see how we look, and just kind of preview things as we settle down this Year 5 season now with the trade deadline pretty much behind us. Only about 20 games left before the postseason. And then before you know it, will be officially 5 years through this expansion franchise. The first series, we started on this channel, and we're making great ground, really picking up the pace here after a big hiatus in, over the past year or so. But we're getting back involved on the channel, and hopefully you come along for the rest of the ride, because we're going to keep this one going pretty much until the fall, until the new NHL comes out. So we can definitely squeeze in a few more seasons here, as the Blue Jackets squeeze in another trade. They send a 2 and Markkanen to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Anthony Beauvillier, a 3 and a 4. So a peculiar development there for the Blue Jackets, who made, I think, 4 or 5 trades over the course of this trade deadline, as we're now into the final minute of this Year 5 trade deadline, and that will do it. So I think we made a couple good deals there, as we'll just skim down the recap again here. Dallas acquires Pavel Buchnevich there from the St. Louis Blues, as the Blues acquire a couple goalie prospects there in Jorgen Soderstrom and Jared Horkov. Another Soderstrom traded there from Arizona to St. Louis, so they're just loading up on the Soderstroms there. Edmonton acquires Alex Nedeljkovic from Pittsburgh, as the Penguins, continuing this rebuild. They get a 3rd-round pick there from Columbus, along with Connor Garland. You see our trade there, Bryan Rust, as we coughed up Daniil Chaika and Andrew Kopp, along with goaltender Scott Ratzlaff. So hopefully he doesn't come back, and emerge as one of the better goaltenders, as we are going to have to go against him in the Metro Division. J.J. Moser there to the St. Louis Blues. The first of 2 trades completed there between the Coyotes and the Blues. We acquired Ryan Graves from Montreal in exchange for Grigory Denisenko, Gustavo Whitfield, Hunter Brzustowicz, and I forget that 4th player we threw in. I think just a perennial AHL type of guy. The Rangers get Jesper Vakvist. Senators acquire Niels Hoglander and Barabanov from Vancouver, as the Senators looking to sneak into the playoffs. And that will do it from this year's trade deadline. It looks like we do get a big trade alert here, It's that one Buchnevich going to Dallas in exchange for those goalie prospects, Horkoff and Soderstrom. So the St. Louis Blues have pretty much been a perennial rebuild over the course of this franchise, as Nikolaevich is going through waivers now, his new team. I forget where he just got traded. And now our first look at our new lines following the trade deadline. So we're going to keep Mark Scheifele and Philip Zadina up here on the top line. Zadina has been phenomenal after a breakout year last year, earned himself a 4-year extension, and is on pace to break career highs across the board, already up to 57 points. We're going to put Landeskog back up on this top line. This is where he started this season, was very productive, although he's still up to 50 points and on pace to exceed last year's total in his first season with the Hartford Whalers. Brian Rust, we're going to debut him on the second line with Leo Carlsson as the centerman. He was up and down between the first and second line, spent some time as the left wing there alongside Mark Scheifele, as he has already exceeded last year's point total up to a plus 21, and he is on pace for career highs now up to age 23 as he continues to improve. Brock Besser up here on the second line. He's been scoring a lot of goals lately. He's going to crack 20 goals for the 5th straight season, although maybe his last season here in Hartford as he is on an expiring contract. But we do like that second line. The third line here, mainly Mangiapane, Roslovic, and Wilson over the course of this year 5 season has been extremely productive, especially Roslovic here. His second season back in Hartford ties a career high with 47 points, and he's on pace for his second 20-goal season in his career. He has been great between the second and third line, playing with the veterans Tom Wilson, Andrew Mangiapane, and even Landeskog was down here at one point. But throughout the trade deadline, I think we did sacrifice some depth, giving up Denisenko and Andrew Kopp, as we're now left with Denis Gurianov as our fourth line left winger. Just 22 points on this season, although a -1, which is respectable considering he's been mainly on the fourth bottom line, and he has been decent on the power play. Then Cole Sillinger, been a little underwhelming, but again, just mostly stashed there on the bottom line as we did trade for him in the preseason from Columbus. And Jacob Perreault is now thrusted into a starting spot. Just 9 games played this season, but 3 points, and he is one of the 4 remaining players from our inaugural expansion draft going back to episode 1, including Zadina and Andrew Mangiapane, our captain over the entirety of this franchise, along with Daniil Tarasov, our backup goaltender. So we do have Yaroslav Askarov, of course, as our starter. The numbers are a little bit down from last season. The save percentage down to an .899. The goals against over 3, only 2 shutouts, but you like the record at 22-9-4. He did miss a couple stints due to injury, so hopefully he can finish out the season and get back to that high level of play that he was once at. And then defensively, of course, we bolster our unit, adding Ryan Graves, now going to be on that third pairing alongside Jordan Spence, who we acquired this past offseason in a trade with the Los Angeles Kings. We're hoping that getting his offensive prowess paired up here with the experience and defensive playing style of Graves offers a good complement there on our third pairing. We still have Andrew Peeke and Ivan Provorov here on our second pairing, both with plus 22, or Peeke with plus 26. So they have been very good in 5-on-5. In our top pairing, we're going to keep Braden Montour along here with Sammy Maki, now at 22 years old. The former number 1 overall pick has taken his game to another level. As I mentioned, those trades kind of left us a little thin here on the fourth line, and we really have no reserves going over to our scratched right now. We only have one defenseman here, Ronnie Attard, who still has yet to suit up in a game. We've been able to stay healthy defensively, so we're really hoping we can get lucky on the waiver wire with someone who can be our 13th forward or maybe even be an upgrade there on that bottom line. Now, coming over to the AHL, we have Frederick Leonard, who is our top prospect in the organization. Not quite ready to crack the show, but not far from it. 47 points from so far this season, had 58 last year in his debut with Poughkeepsie. 22-year-old second-round pick from 2024 playmaker. And we also have Andrei Vorobiev here, 21 years old, first-round pick from 2025, was the 25th overall pick. That was from our lone playoff year. His first season now in Poughkeepsie, coming over from Russia. He has eclipsed 20 goals, and like Leonard, not quite ready. He's at a 74 overall. Someone else of note here, Braden Swartz, a third-round pick from 2024, two-way forward. Our scouts did have him as a gem in that class. This is his second year in Poughkeepsie. He's on pace to exceed last year's totals, and at 72 overall, still probably 3-4 years away, but someone like Leonard, we're hoping he can be ready maybe by next season, but definitely within 2 years from now. Really, no defenseman of note here prospect-wise. Hansel was a draft pick over the course of this franchise, but probably not an NHL future. Same thing with Colton Roberts, but we do have some guys at the junior level who we will take a look at here shortly. Going over to goalies, we have Javon Marks, who is just an absolute stud so far. 34-16-4 this season with 5 shutouts. We saw the numbers earlier. 919 save percentage, a 2-2 goals against, or below that actually. And he's on the smaller side at 6 foot, 187. Not really what we're accustomed to seeing in today's NHL, as we also are going to check out the progress reports and see how our players have been developing over the course of this year 5 season. So we won't pay much attention to our NHL guys, but Filip Zadina at 28 years old, we saw he's having a career year, really building off last season. The puck skills all, in the low to mid 90s, getting 2 for every category in morale growth. And now in senses, 3 for statistical growth, 2 for morale growth there in discipline, offensive awareness, 4 for statistical growth, 1 for morale growth. For shooting, he gets 4 stat growth on slap shot and wrist shot power, with morale growth boosting that all 1. And statistical growth here defensively, +4 in everything besides face-offs, and then +5 in endurance there for statistical growth. So a huge year here for Zadina. You see all the physicals there, +4 besides durability and fighting. So huge growth here from Filip Zadina, emerging as a cornerstone franchise player for us. And we have him signed for another 3 seasons. Brandon Montour now on a expiring contract, just a little bit here for statistical growth and morale growth, getting -1 there for body checking though. Sami Maki, our 22-year-old lockdown defender, no growth really, gets +1 there for a few in physical, endurance, and stick checking, which is now up to a 97. Andrew Mangiapane, our captain, a 47-point season. He has been extremely steady over the course of this franchise. Look at all this production, 57 points, 50, 56, 52, and now this year probably going to get to a new career high, or at least a high here for our franchise, as he's been extremely consistent, and he's definitely earned that C patch, getting 3 for statistical growth on offensive awareness, 3 there for defensive awareness, shot blocking, and stick checking, 1 there for most skating categories, and then +3 for aggressiveness, body checking, and strength. Landeskog, I did notice, had some regression here, -2 for passing, -1 hand-eye, -1 offensive awareness. And we do have him signed through next season, so hopefully he doesn't have much regression. Yaroslav Askarov has not seen any progression over the course of this season yet. I think injuries definitely had something to do with that. Same case here with Leo Carlsson. We're expecting him to kind of take the next level, or take the next step to the next level, and his production has been good, but ratings-wise, not really seeing any boosts. Jack Rozovic, great story he's been, as he's seeing some stat growth and morale growth. Ryan Graves, we might not have anything for him, because he's still new. Even that 85 overall, not fully uncovered. Hopefully that holds up, but we'll even take 84. Bryan Rust, I don't expect much here either, although he does get 4 there for shot blocking from stat growth. Didn't expect to see that. Tom Wilson, I think another power forward, seeing some regression here, -1 in stick checking, -2 there, a couple of physical categories, so not sure if he's going to be back next year. Brock Besser, he's not getting anything at an 84 overall on an expiring contract. Anything for Guryanov. They're just on the 4th line, nothing. What about Spence? We thought he would have more upside as someone who can move the puck from the blue line, but really hasn't shown much promise. But at least Cole Sillinger getting 1 morale growth on a few categories, most notably here for puck skills, just 15 points over the course of this season. But now going into the system, which is the main feature here in this second half of the episode. We're even going to jump into an AHL game and get a look here at Javon Marks. We already saw the numbers, up to 81 overall already. Elite medium potential. He's ranked as the 3rd best prospect in our organization. A lot there for natural growth, getting +3 on breakaway and 5-hole, and even getting some there on morale growth, and then a little bit of boost there athletically. So he's been great, and we're going to get a chance to look at him. And there's Francois Lefebvre, our 1st-round pick from last year, 19-year-old playmaking center, just tearing it up this year. 53 assists for 80 points total, matching last year's total with still 20 games left to go. He's already had 32 power play points, a shorthanded goal as well, getting +1 there, natural growth under puck skills. Nothing for senses, nothing for shooting, nothing defensively, nothing for skating. So not much of a maturation here for Lefebvre, even though his production has definitely gone to the next level. Benjamin Kolb, currently our 4th best prospect, currently playing at Arizona State, as they have qualified for the Frozen Four tournament, now into his junior season, as he's gone to 52 points, up from last year with a +13, and he's made a huge impact on the power play at 76 overall. Culp not far away from cracking the NHL squad, as he's gone +2 for every puck skill category, +3 there for slap shot and wrist shot power, +2 for shot blocking, stick checking, nothing for skating, but for physical, +2 aggressiveness, body checking, and strength. So we just traded Gustavo Whitfield in that deal for Ryan Graves, and I think having Culp as another right-handed 2-way defender in our system afforded us the flexibility to complete that. Then there's Frederick Leonard, our top-rated prospect, 2nd-round pick from a few years back. His production is up from last year, on pace to be at least, with a +14. He's at 6'2", 208. No progression there for puck skills, but I mean, he doesn't really have any room to grow. Everything there, 94 or better with 98 passing. This dude's going to be eventual 50 assist type of guy, we hope. Gets 1 there for morale growth under offensive awareness. Same story there with slap shot and wrist shot accuracy. The slap shot power pretty good there at 92, so you can definitely rip it. +1 there for most defensive categories. Physical is getting +1 as well in a few. So we're hoping Culp, Leonard, and even Lefebvre are three young guys who can work their way up to our roster. We think Javon Marks already is going to be our backup next year, as we'll have to move on from Daniil Tarasov, which is going to hurt our locker room chemistry as he is one of the leaders in our locker room. Andrei Vorobiev, first-round pick from 2025. Right-wing sniper, has cracked 20 goals in his first season down there at the AHL. +1 offensive awareness, +1 for defensive awareness, but really not much else doing there progression-wise. And we're really just looking for guys that we've drafted over the course of this franchise. Here's Braden Swartz, a former third-round pick, two-way forward at left wing. Decent production this year. Nothing there for puck skills. 1 for morale growth there for discipline and poise. Same there with slap shot, wrist shot power. Defensively, natural growth. Getting 1 for shot blocking, stick checking. Getting 1 there for morale growth under skating. And then +1 there for natural growth under a few physical categories. And now here's AJ Uljevich, second or third round pick, I believe, from 2026. We drafted like 3 or 4 defensemen that year. He's an offensive defenseman, so we like that skill set he presents. There's not many of them that go around. Good production this year with 9 goals, 27 assists, as he's already doubled last year's point total with a few more games left to play there in the Liga. 10 power play points, but last year the shot percentage was 26.1%, 12 goals. That is absolutely insane. So he can move the puck, he can rip it a little bit with elite low potential, +2 natural growth in every puck skill category, +2 there for offensive awareness, +1 for slap shot and wrist shot power, +2 for defensive awareness. The shot blocking and stick checking go up 1 there to 80, +1 in every skating category, and then getting +3 for fighting skill, +2 for durability. So he's starting to throw hands a little bit, even though he's an offensive defenseman, and we love the upside he presents. Probably a future NHLer on our blue line, along with Benjamin Culp, who we saw. Vyacheslav Varlamov, a grinder at right wing we drafted. We'll take a quick look at him. +2 for offensive awareness, slap shot and wrist shot accuracy, shot blocking, stick checking, and +2 there, a few in the physical categories. Not much production, 11 points in 31 games, but as a grinder, he's not really going to be stuffing the stat sheet. Colton Roberts, a defenseman we drafted a few years back at 6'4", 190. No progression, definitely just a perennial AHL type of guy with his potential being AHL top 2 defenseman, so that just goes to show. And Amrit Edwards, another grinder, we drafted just 5 points in 31 games, as he and Varlamov kind of being interchanged in the lineup, and no progression from him either. But talk about progression here with Jeffrey Slaney, 19-year-old sniper at left wing, only a 63 overall, so far away from cracking the show. But look at this progression, +8 there in every puck skill category, +7 in offensive awareness, +5 discipline, goes up 3 in poise, +4 there in every shooting category. They're all about mid to high 70s now, +7 in defense, maturing as a skater and physically as well, with +4, +7 a bunch, +3, +5. As Jeffrey Slaney, probably one of the biggest risers we've had over the course of this season. 31 goals in 47 games with 38 assists, 69 points total so far for the Oshawa Generals, and 35 points on the power play with 19 power play goals. So just tearing it up, age 19, probably going to be part of our AHL squad next year, I believe. And now here's Tyler Clements with the Saginaw Spirit. He was a gem defenseman we just drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round. I think it was the 3rd round. Decent progression in puck skills, senses. +2 there for shot blocking and stick checking, and then +2 in aggressiveness, body checking, and strength. So not much progression there, but we like the future there. Tyler Clements, another 2-way defenseman on the right-handed shot, and I think that might do it for the rest of the way. I mean, Brandon Sim, he was one of those 3 or 4 defensemen we drafted going back to 2026. He's getting +2 for puck skills, and nothing else really aside from that. A few there in physical and defense, but at 6 foot 194, he's one of the few defensive defenseman we have drafted into the organization, and like Uljevich, he does have that elite low potential, so still maybe 3-4 years away, but hopefully he can live up to that. Benjamin Vasakis, we just drafted him in the mid to late rounds. He has 13 goals his 2nd season there at the college level. Not really much progression. And Morgan Iverson, we drafted him a year before that. I think he might have been a gem that we might have traded up for, but not much progression. Terry Wharton at 6'5", 222. That was a big reason why we drafted him. Not much growth, though, over the course of this season. And then we have 2 more goalies down here. Gustav Kovalev, He does have elite medium potential, so we looked at him as more of an investment. 6'4", 207 out of Russia. Good progression there on the reflexes so far. +3 for glove, low and high, getting +2 on 5-hole breakaway. Puck control, nothing really there. +2 on durability, +1 on a few other athletic categories. So going back to Kovalev here, he was like a 4th or 5th round investment, but with that elite potential, we think that could bode well for his trade value moving along, especially if he performs at a high level. We see the numbers there, not too great at .849 save percentage, which is down from last season, but 17-5-3, so just a different brand of hockey they're playing over there in Russia. And then Doug Hall, I think we actually drafted him ahead of Kovalev, but he has not played at all this season with the Sioux Greyhounds. I think he was also someone who had elite potential, or actually I think he was a gem, so we trusted our scouting department on that. So aside from Javon Marks, we have 2 other goaltenders there that aren't with the AHL squad quite yet, but look to have some decent upside. But we can't watch them quite yet as they're still with their junior squads. But now we can take a look at Javon Marks, who is in net here in this game against the Bakersfield Condors, the Edmonton Oilers AHL affiliate. As we see Marks there at goalie, a former 2nd round pick for our Poughkeepsie Panthers. As we are going to get a look at him in this one along with Frederick Leonard. Look out for him, number 86 at right wing. And we also have Andrei Vorobiev as we get our first rush here. Going to skip ahead here and there and just try and get through this game quickly. Really just want to take a look at Marks for one of the first times, as there's Frederick Leonard off the feed from behind the net as Coronar able to slam the door. And we see there Frederick Leonard to the bottom of the screen there, number 86. And really not many prospects of note that we have drafted, although we are going to get a few more next season as a few players do come over from their junior squads. Great job here on the forecheck. There's Haimo Salami to Jenkins, back to Holmes. Up for Jenkins, a shot wide. And we are kind of scouting here. Blade Jenkins, Riley Damiani, 2 long-tenured AHL affiliate players here as they've endured the course. And our Poughkeepsie Panthers at the top of the North Division right now, over 40 wins, as we're looking to get back to the playoffs last year. A first-round exit, though, as we look for a little bit deeper run. There's Javon Marks, still no action against him, but there's Vorobiev, our first-round pick from 2025, as he works into the zone. Centering pass there for Zeb Forsvahal. Back for Forsvahal as Vorobiev. 2 good feeds there right in front. And again, Coronar slamming the door a couple times there. Vorobiev still out there, number 49 at right wing, as he does take that off the face-off win. Feeds back to the point, but does end up in a turnover, as there's Mark Friedman, a lot of former NHL defensemen on this Bakersfield team. They also do have Rem Pitlick, a forward. He was the AHL MVP last year, but with the Chicago Wolves, has now since moved over here to Bakersfield, as he's in line to be a perennial AHL All-Star. Still nothing here against Marks, as there's Jaromir Pitlick. He had 4 goals in that playoff series last season. Vorsfahal, another good chance from the slot, as Coronar some good saves early on. High pressure here for Poughkeepsie, though, as we still do have it in the zone. Vorsfahal now for Pitlick. He works into the slot. He shoots and scores. That's Jaromir Pitlick. And I said last year he had 4 goals in that series, I believe. That first-round exit, best of 5, which we ended up losing. But Jaromir Pitlick gets us on the board here early. 1-0 before we even have a Javon Marks shot against. And that's a great job on the forehand, beating the glove there of Coronar. And now Bakersfield in on a rush. Sweetland from the point, save there from Marks. Nikov trying to battle there against Jeremy Hansel, former Seattle Thunderbird of the WHL, as he gives up for Braden Swartz. He will dump that in. One of the prospects we are looking at, number 84 there, left wing, Braden Swartz. Loose puck in front. That was a little off line of what you wanted if you're Coronar. As we still do have it now. Schwartz towards the net. Braden Swartz on the forehand. Good dekes there, but Coronar slams the door again. And now in the offensive zone is Bakersfield. Backhand chance off the post of Waugh. Now back to the point for Sweetland. Over for Pitlick. He had 80 points last year, a plus-minus of 50, as that was out of harm's way. And now Burrows will bring it in for Bakersfield. And on the rush, Lazarev in front. Sprawling out was Marks. He's able to look at the flexibility there as he stopped it with the glove. As we're still trying to get it out, and we do clear the zone into the final 5 minutes now of this first period. Lazarev with it as he spins way in front for Esposito, poked into the corner. Esposito still with it. Back for Lazarev, now for Thomas across for Clegg. His shot, and he scores from the point. Good puck movement there from the Condors, as Clegg is going to put that into the back of the net. And Javon Marks no longer flawless in this one, as it's now knotted up 1-1. And that will take us into the second period, as we are tied up 1-1 here. Javon Marks gives up 1 goal but does stop the first 4 that he faced, but we were able to get a lot of late chances there. 11 shots on the net in total there for Poughkeepsie, as we're looking to get a lot more pressure there. A lot of it was also early on. We had a bunch of chances, as we will take another look here at Frederick Leonard on that top line at right wing for the Panthers. 1-1 here, as Bakersfield is going to win that faceoff, but intercepted there in the neutral zone from Leonard as he gives to Damiani, but that was lost, and now Bakersfield back with it. Nick Peaton with it as he loses possession there to Blade Jenkins, as Jenkins will take it in now, dumps it along the boards, and Jenkins might be a guy who gets a call up if we do suffer an injury to one of our forwards. And now Savoie with it, leads Bakersfield in goals so far. Spins away from a man back to a defenseman, up but picked off by Jenkins, and Rem Pitlick is going to go to the box. 2 minutes for slashing. Poughkeepsie a chance to take the lead back on the power play. And now Bakersfield on a power play of their own after killing it off. Rem Pitlick over for Kozlov now towards the net. Kozlov in front shot, and I think that was gloved away by Marks. Now Savoie with it, a shot blockered away by Marks. 2 big saves there, as into the now final 10 seconds of this power play. Kozlov, one last chance shot, as that's deflected out towards the point. And now Savoie with it, Petan for Kozlov off the one-timer. Another save there from Javon Marks. A few there in succession, as we still have not cleared the zone, and we finally do here. Bouchard there hit off the puck. Now Hansel with it, as we'll go now to a stoppage. Hansel just all the way back behind his own net, as he does finally give there for Holmes. Bounce pass off the boards there for Vorobiev, former first-round pick out of Russia. Now we see Varlamov there holding a man up against the boards. Now over for Hansel. Now Pitlick into the zone. The lone goal scorer spins away. Now pass there for Vorsvahal. And Coronar again, a huge save. He's made a ton already in this game. And now on a rush here on the power plays, it is winding down. Frederick Leonard, the man there on the shot. Rebound, as he tried to tuck it his own rebound home on the backhand. As Coronar now up to 20 saves in this game, just barely halfway through. Still now with pressure here, Ovechkin over for Damiani. That's Yuri Ovechkin, undrafted defenseman. As he is now with it, and he does turn it over. And now Pitlick in all alone, and he scores his second of the game. Jaromir Pitlick has just been a goal-scoring machine. We haven't watched our AHL team much, but when we do, you can count on Jaromir Pitlick to score. Already 2 tonight, 17 on the season now, as less than 5 minutes left in the second period. Poughkeepsie back on top. And now less than 2 minutes here in the second period. Bakersfield in on a rush. Burrows from the corner, starting past no one home, but does find Long a long ways away. Now Dolak in the slot. A glove save by Marks. Just the 10th shot of the game for Bakersfield, but Marks has denied 9 of them. And now Vorobiev early in the third period leading the charge towards the net as he works past a defenseman. Centering pass there for Haimosalmi, and he buries that one in the back of the net. Vorobiev, great persistence there offensively. Able to work through the contact. Spins away, makes some space, and he hits his defenseman there, Alexei Haimosalmi, as he beats the blocker there. And we were getting a ton of shots during the second period, first period, so it was only a matter of time, I think, until some started to fall. So good job there by Vorobiev, our 5th-ranked prospect in the organization there, working and getting the assist. Now Vorobiev generating a chance there off the turnover, and then he passes that for Forsvahal, and again generating offense with defense. Vorobiev just going nuts here on the forecheck in the offensive zone as he gets another assist there. That's Zev Forsvahal, a 4th-round pick from our inaugural draft class going back to 2023, and he's really been productive this season, now really finding his form as a member of our AHL squad. Not sure quite when or if he'll find the NHL team at any point, but promising goal there, as that now makes it 4-1, 2 early third period goals as we're rocking here in Poughkeepsie. And now one last rush here for the Condors on the power play, as they're unable again to get anything going, as our Poughkeepsie Panthers take this game 6-1, just outright domination, especially there in the third period. We didn't get to see Javon Marks tested much, but he stopped 13 out of 14 shots for his 31st win of the season, I believe it was. Andrei Vorobiev, 2 assists in this one. He was great at right wing, one of our young players, former first-round pick We didn't see Frederick Leonard make much of an impact in this one, but he is our top prospect in the organization, as the scouts do say at least, as our Poughkeepsie Panthers take this one 6-1, a very promising showing here from a playoff aspiration team who hopes to win the championship down here at the AHL level. But this is where I'm going to leave you folks. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this episode. I think we made a huge impact there at the trade deadline, acquiring the likes of Ryan Graves to really shore up our defense, and also Bryan Rust to provide some experience. He's been there. He knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. He has that pedigree as the first start here. Jaromir Pitlick, 2 goals, 1 assist, and a hit to go along with that. But as always, everybody, it's been real, and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.